Okay, so this is the official Walnut Club's first official interview series
Ooh,
featuring member Walnut Club Wow Woman Liza Herschel. She's the partner of SDI Communications, and we're going to just learn more about Liza and what she does, and who she's looking to meet, and how she's able to help other people as well. So, with that, I just want to begin by tell us about yourself, about SDI Communications, what you do with. I know it's a leadership training, but if you can just talk more about that.
great. Thank you. I really do appreciate doing this. This is fun. I'm glad to be talking to everybody out there and can't wait to hear what other people have to say about themselves. It's a brilliant idea, Marla. So
Oh, thanks.
good work. As is, I don't say this just to kiss up in the beginning, but Walnut Club is definitely an inspired idea as well. So
Thank you.
we can get to that eventually. But
Thank you. I didn't even pay you to say that.
so what?
I didn't even
I didn't
pay
tell
you to
you.
say
No, no, you just no.
that.
So SDI Communications, I did not found the company. I am an owner now, but we've been in a business for 30 years, working mostly with Fortune 500 companies and some big universities and things like that. But at a very high level, what we do, our expertise is in elevating performance in organizations. Now that's super, super broad. But one way to simplify it in terms of what we do is, if you think about businesses, there are three primary drivers for performance in an organization. You can, upgrade processes. You can make processes better, the way people hand off things, projects, money. That's one way to elevate the performance of an organization. The second way is technology. We see that all the time, the better and better technology, and companies are always putting in whole new ERP systems to elevate the way that they function across the company and with their customers. Then there's a third way that people aren't real optimistic about because there's not a lot of ways to impact it, and that is broadly elevating the performance of the human beings in the organization.
Hmm.
Really developing the human beings in the organization to be able to produce whatever the business is up to producing in the world. And that's what we do.
You focus on the
So that's
you focus on the individuals in the sales teams,
the human
the human
beings.
beings,
Yeah, developing them to
each
be
individual
able to
person.
really produce whatever the business is up to together. So our expertise is in how people create in language together, what kinds of conversations actually produce what kinds of futures. So when people get their hands on that, they begin to see how to create whatever they're committed to in their business. Especially our expertise comes in when what they're committed to in the future is distinct from what they've done in the past.
Wow.
Like they're changing markets, they're changing culture, they're changing, market pressure has like very much started to make what they produce in the world less valuable. So they've got to respond to that. That's often when we're brought in because we alter the way we do like step changes in the way the human beings perform.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this sounds like it's also beneficial for the individual because they can take that training and probably apply it to their personal lives, themselves, take that training to the next company that they find themselves in.
Actually,
Yeah, so
yep.
it's great.
Yeah, we leave people with capabilities, that's
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Wonderful. So the next question I have for you is, what is this the sweet spot of your business? Like, what separates yourself from what's your sweet spot, and what separates SDI Communications from your competitors?
Yeah, so the way we work is often with an executive team. And usually it's when an executive team has to go through some kind of change to adapt to a higher level of performance. And it's not like they're failing. We don't often come in with teams that are failing. We actually usually come in with teams that need to go to another level to actually do something big.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, a pharma company brought us in once to go because they had their commercial team, their global commercial team, this Fortune 500 company, was about to have to launch 4 products in 1 year. And for the 10 years before, they'd only launched 1 product every 2 years, but their pipeline suddenly popped.
Mm.
And they had to learn how to work together in a way to do that both well they said it with excellence. They love excellence in
Mm-hmm.
pharma. So with excellence, but also constantly learning from the launches in real time. So we were brought in to take that team through that transition.
Wow.
So that's the kind of thing, like executive teams with their butts on the line for a major business result. That's our sweet spot. And then often once we've worked with an executive team, we work more deeply into their division, or if it's a CEO, throughout the whole organization to help the rest of the organization fulfill on whatever they're starting to get created. So,
wow. And how do these organizations find you? How would they even know they had this need, and then how would they? Is it relationships that you have?
It's interesting. We're like the kind of thing they don't know they need, because they don't know it's possible to quickly elevate the performance of a team of people, and that they don't think of that as the way to produce a business result. So that is our challenge. And so back to your question, how do people find us? Very often it's referrals. I mean, fortunately, luckily for me, this company's been in existence for 30 years. Lots of clients I've met with. So mostly, a lot of it is referrals. We're honestly, our challenge is to start creating a marketing conversation that allows people to see the connection between their need, launching 4 products, and what we do. And we're starting to do that. We're getting better and better at it. We're not the only company in the world that does this, has this underlying methodology. There's about 50 of us around the world, and we all talk to each other about how to distinguish this kind of consulting in the marketplace.
Right, 50 out of the world is not that many.
No, it's very specialized. It comes out of linguistics and philosophy. So but it's highly effective. And I know I can say that because, I could say anything, but it's really highly effective.
So, right, this is just an opportunity for us, even with this video, to just educate people that this is an option, because I wasn't even aware that this was an option as far as leadership development. So,
yeah.
So what distinguishes you from your competitors? And it sounds like, that's my next question. And it sounds like you're very committed to the individual person. And if you want to talk more about that.
It's funny to say in business, but we do honestly fall in love with our clients. And in the way that people who are deeply care and committed to each other do, like we are always listening for what they want to get created in the world. And that's a pretty unusual experience in business, to have someone who will listen to what you're committed to and really bring something to the table to help you get out of the way, anything that's in your way to what you're committed to. So these are very, very personal, very, very connected relationships. And really, I hear over and over again from our clients, they say, you really care. You really care. I just don't get, I haven't hired I know there's a lot of consultants listening to this, and I'm not disparaging consultants, but you really care. That just really stands out.
And it also sounds like your company doesn't, because you don't try to put a square peg in a round hole with solutions. Like you can create customized solutions for individuals and companies, which is also, I would think, rare, because I would think most companies would have like this is a box and this is what we do, and we're going to have to squeeze you into this somehow with this is the solutions we provide, and we're going to have to figure this out, where it sounds like you do the opposite, where it's all customized, which is amazing.
Yeah, we're designers. We're consultants and designers. Great. That's how we think of ourselves. Yep.
Yeah. And it might be maybe it's even fun for you to be challenged by how can you achieve this goal, because it's different than any other client you've had. So I'm sure there's a bit of stress and also excitement and challenge in that.
Yeah, exactly.
What are good referrals for you, Liza?
Senior executives in bigger companies, Fortune 1000 companies, or, I say senior like EVP, SVP, even direct VP level in those kind of companies, or in smaller companies, the most senior person, the CEO. I mean, we need to, because of the kind of work we do, we need to be dealing with the person who's got their, I keep using butt on the line for results of something important. So those are our best referrals. We go in through HR occasionally, but much more rarely through HR. It's usually a senior business person who sees the need and really is looking for something that's going to make a difference in the way other things haven't. So.
And then once they get the results, I'm sure that senior person who brings you in is considered the hero probably of the company or the team, because they're the ones who had the foresight to bring you in.
Yeah, definitely the team. There's no question. The kind of relationship that gets built on their team with them is extraordinary. Mm-hmm. It's really seen there. And then we've done work with things like Net Promoter Scores. I don't know if you've ever heard about how the team. It's a marketing score that shows how the team shows up for the rest of the company. And we have some massive swings on what are called Net Promoter Scores in terms of before our work with them and after, how the team was perceived.
Wow.
Pretty massive swings, the kind of swings you don't normally see in Net Promoter Scores. So that's been fun to get that kind of validation.
Absolutely. I'm sure that's so rewarding. Mm-hmm. So now I want to ask you some personal questions about yourself.
Okay.
So my question is, what inspires you?
What inspires me?
What lights you up?
What?
What lights you up?
Yeah. I sound so trite, but honestly, full self-expression, like not being unstoppable in the world, both myself, the people around me, my clients. I mean, I feel like, there's two options in life. You can get good at something and then just keep doing it, or you can constantly look for where you can grow and, produce mastery and where you're going to be on edge in life. It's going to make you sweat a little. And, so I love that for myself. I love that for my children. And I love that that's why clients hire me. They're willing to go into areas they're not masterful in order to expand their capacity to make a really big difference. So they get nervous too. And it's exciting to watch human beings grow that way. I love it.
That is the only way to grow is to get out of your comfort zone. So it sounds like you love that energy, that excitement from always being on the edge of constantly pushing a little bit more. I feel like I can relate in that aspect of not getting too comfortable, because there's always a new technology to learn. There's always something new to learn and grow, and it's always a little scary every time.
Mm-hmm. But the philosophers that are underlying some of the work we do are from the early 19th centuries. One of them was a guy named Hölderlin, I think, a German philosopher. And he said, wherein the danger lies, there also grows the saving grace. Which I like. That's my life. I don't want to go there. Okay, I'll go there. I don't want to make that relationship work. Okay, I'll make that relationship work. I don't want to get up on stage and sing Desperado. Okay, I'm going to freaking do it.
Right. So the first is like acknowledging what scares you, and then saying, okay, well, that means I need to do it. Like
exactly.
There's a great Napoleon Hill quote, which I don't know exactly, but it's similar in that whatever you resist most, behind whatever you resist most lies that which you are seeking.
Yeah.
So that's very true. Same theory. It's very true. What books have had the biggest impact in your life, personal and professional? So the personal books.
Yeah. I'm an avid fiction reader. I get it from my mother. I handed it on to my 15-year-old. It sort of skipped my 20-year-old, but she loves books. She's just not as avid as the rest of us. If she watches this, she'll kill me. But anyway, so I just love. I am just blown away by fiction. I think I admire fiction writers, the ones who can really pierce into human being and put it into a story and reveal something about ourselves and then craft it into this compelling story. I mean, I don't know how you do that. I really don't. I mean, I'm a communicator, but I don't know how to do that. And it just always blows me away in a book. And my daughter, I was just saying, my 15-year-old has got the bug. And what's exciting is at that age, at 15, she's now reading anything. She can read anything, the most sophisticated literature she can read. So I'm just I mean, not that my novels are all sophisticated, but I'm throwing books at her that I loved. And we just talk about them and talk about how they're written and how clever the author was. And that's amazing to me. And she's reading my favorite right now. Oh, it is one of my favorites. One of the only books I've read twice, which is called Jitterbug Perfume. Do you know Tom Robbins?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with fiction writing, but tell me about, what is Jitterbug Perfume? It has a great name.
Well, it's a fantasy over time novel, but it's really about human development ultimately, like living an fully expressed life. It's not new agey in that way. It's a real sort of good narrative fantasy kind of over time novel. So that's great. And the other thing I was going to say, we talked about this before we got on today, that one of the other things I've read over and over again has been Harry Potter, the full 7 books. I think I've read them 7 times out loud, all 7 books. No, three times out loud, all 7 books. Wow. In accents with my daughter. So that's
so cool.
they asked. I didn't make them.
Oh my God. I would love to be at your house during bedtime and get those stories. Lucky girls. What about a professional book that has had an impact in your life?
Yeah, my favorite book is a book by a woman named Tracy Goss, who studied the same kind. Studied and applied the work that I do in business. She did to business, but she did it extraordinarily well. She's still consulting. She's quite a bit older than I am, but she has a book called The Last Word on Power. And it really focuses on what it takes to reinvent yourself in order to do exactly what we were just talking about, to take on what's currently impossible for you, like something you want, but currently you experience as impossible. She puts it all in the context of business too. So she's very business savvy. But what does it take to actually reinvent yourself to be able to produce things that currently seem to you impossible? Wow. It's a great book.
I need to read that book. I never heard of it.
Yeah, I don't run across many people who have seen it, but it's really good.
Good one. Okay, that's good. And that's what we should probably put that in the comment section too, like your recommendations in the because we'll post this on YouTube. So it sounds like what you're saying is, for instance, I'm working through my fear of public speaking. So it's like what she can help you do is reframe things so that that you then view yourself as an excellent public speaker, so that one day maybe you will embody that, you'll grow into that, because it's like.
She really deals with how you perceive the world that has you currently showing up as not as good a speaker as you'd like to be. So that you'd have to actually approach the book like a course you're in. Like, I don't know if you've ever done The Artist's Way. The Artist's Way is like that. This is, she doesn't write it quite like a workbook, but you could use it as a workbook and actually do all the conversations and questions she does to be able to help you see how you currently see the world and how you currently see yourself, that's having you show up in public speaking in a certain way. It's, it would be great. And if you do it, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll have those conversations.
Maybe we'll turn it into a Walnut Club book and do some discussion groups.
That sounds great. We just kicked off our Walnut Club book club this month. So we have to put that in the queue.
That would be great. I'll come to that one.
Oh, good. Well, maybe you can even lead the discussion.
Yeah, I
would. So how do you manage? This is one of the questions where there's no such thing as balance, right? So it's basically like, how do you juggle it all? Your career, your marriage, your kids. How do you shuffle things around so that you keep everything afloat and you're not losing your mind?
Well, I have a new admin right now, and she said to me, she looked at my calendar and she said, "Oh, I see you're making dinner from 6 to 6:30 tonight." And I said, "Yep."
So you schedule everything. Is that what it is? Like, if you live by your calendar?
Including time off, tennis, dates with my husband, travel time. If it doesn't get in my calendar, it doesn't happen. And I have a very, very specific way of, I have something, everybody's got their little notebook, but I call it a capture tool because I use a particular methodology, but it gets emptied at the end of the day. So there's nothing, I have no to-do lists. I have no to-do list.
Hmm.
I've got a capture tool. And then at the end of the day, it gets on my calendar with specific times and occasions, or it gets out of my head. I'm not going to do it. It gets recycled. I mean, it's not perfect, but it is extraordinarily helpful in terms of this thing called balance.
Well, that sounds great. So that basically you don't put things on your calendar. Like for me, and I'm learning to, and it's not the best system. I put everything that I want to get accomplished that day. But it's really pretty much realistically what I need to do. It'll probably take a week.
Exactly.
So I need to be a little bit more streamlined and just maybe pick 2 or 3 versus 7.
Yeah.
And then you just pick those 3 and then you schedule them in, and that way you get it done.
Yeah, and the resource, if you are doing a resource page, is Mission Control. It's called, the system I use is Mission Control.
And is that an app, or what is that?
It's a training. You can do a training online, and then it teaches you how to think about all you have to do and handle, and how to get it in existence in a way that it actually has the time and space to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And then dealing with what you're committed to and what you're not committed to. So it's not just a, planner system. It's actually a way of organizing your commitments. And my whole company is designed around Mission Control.
That sounds amazing. So it's
it's
like a productivity tool, like a productivity
exactly.
resource.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Never heard of it. So thank you. We'll have to include that in our resource list.
Mm-hmm.
So where can we find you on your day off? You mentioned you love to play tennis and you love to read. So what else tell us more about yourself how we would find you.
You would, I just can't step over tennis, because tennis is huge for me these days. I'm on 2 teams and I have a league I play on Sunday night. So I probably play 2 to 3 times a week for an hour and a half to 2 hours. That's really just huge for me. I've reorganized my whole Sundays. I now make like food earlier in the day, and like we eat at like 4 on Sunday. I used to make stuff Sunday night, and it's very different. But so that's big. I travel a lot for work, and what I have started to do is give myself a little more freedom to add time to my work travel to have fun. Wherever I am.
That is important. Yes.
Yep. I did a side trip to Oslo in September when I was in the Netherlands and saw friends.
Wow.
And I'm doing it again in April. I have a week and a half I'm working back in the Netherlands, and my husband's going to come just before I end, and we're extending it for 5 days. And then I'm actually coming, and so we're going to be in Amsterdam for 4 days, 5 days, and then he's staying another day to go see a bike race, and then he's flying back. So we're starting to give ourselves the freedom to add like fun around these, great business trips I have.
Sounds like a great idea. Yeah, getting even if it's 1 day to yourself, it's like, okay, that trip was really worth it. It wasn't just a client trip. You got something out of it.
Exactly.
And I'm sure the Netherlands in the fall must be amazing. It's going to be beautiful weather. Hopefully.
Yes. Yeah. Well, in April, you mean it's tulip season. Tulip season.
It's going to be. I've never been during tulip season, so I'm sure I imagine you're going to carve out time to do that. Go to the countryside and look at
We'll do.
That's on my bucket list.
If we can wake up from the crazy nightlife, well,
you'll make it work. I think you will. So my final question for you is what made you join the Walnut Club? I'm gonna end all the conversations with this, all interviews with this question.
That's great. Well, the context for the Walnut Club has been so different from the context for any other group I've ever, quote unquote, networking group. I'm sure you've thought this through in detail, but it's so palpable to me that the context is authentic and meaningful connection.
Yep.
And that comes through in every way that you talk about it, every event that gets created. It comes through in the way people show up at events. Like it's just, I'm here because I want to be. Yeah. I'm here because I'm interested in you. I'm here, each other. I'm here because I'm interested in the topic. And I think that's back to the answer of what creates balance in life. If you can spend your business time that way.
Yes.
boy, does that make a huge difference. So that's what's compelled me about it.
Liza, that's amazing because that's exactly what the intention has been. And for you to receive that is wonderful. So thank you. Right. We are all about creating opportunities for women to come together and build those relationships and see each other on a frequent occurrence, doing different things and building those authentic relationships. So thank you for receiving that and appreciating it. So
you're welcome. Thank you for making it.
Well, thank you for being my first interviewee for our interview series, and I'm excited to share this with everyone else. And stay tuned for more, ladies.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye-bye.